Well, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining us for another conversation. I hope you guys are having a beautiful Tuesday. I am joined once again with my co-host, Taylor. Taylor, how are you?
So good. I am so good. The sun is shining. Spring is here. Finally, putting away those winter sweaters, and summer is calling my name. So I couldn't be happier. How are you, Kelly?
We say that we're putting away the winter sweaters, but we're like wearing winter sweaters right now and we're matching again. This is becoming like a problem. If you're watching on YouTube, we we must just be in our own brains and show up now wearing the same thing all the time.
Yeah, it's like telepathy or something at this point.
It is.
Sad beige mom telepathy.
Yes. We had just a fun little girl boss conversation with Deanna Harrison with Harrison Films. She is a husband and wife team based in Washington, D.C., and she joined us for just a really good conversation about how much they've grown in 7 years, the success that they've seen, what yielded in that success. Taylor, this might be one of my favorites that we've brought on for this All-Star series.
I know. Yeah, she's such an inspiration and such like a ray of sunshine, if I'm like being totally honest. Once you guys get listening to the episode, you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. But I think it's so great hearing from business owners who really have taken just such a tactical approach to everything in an organic way. So things don't have to feel so rigid or inauthentic. Like you can really be strategic while also staying true to yourself, both like as a person and as an artist. And that's something that Deanna and Grant have done so beautifully. And I think that at some point in the episode, I said like those who go the extra mile kind of reap the rewards. And I think that's really like their business in a nutshell. So we're so excited for you to hear their take on branding and adding value, client experience, social media, all the things. So let's dive in. This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Well, Deanna, welcome back to the podcast. I had you on a few years ago, and Kelly and I have just been so excited to bring you back on because so much has changed throughout the industry and all of our businesses. And I think we're going to have a really great conversation with some fresh perspectives.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Yes, it's been 2 years. I went and looked back at the date that we recorded last, and it was summer of 2022. So yeah, a lot's changed, but at the same time, a lot has stayed the same. I'm excited to talk about our evolution and where the industry's at and just catch up with you guys. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be such a fun conversation. So for those of you who are listening that don't know Harrison Films' work, you absolutely need to know their work, whether you are a photographer, a planner, or a filmmaker. Their work is so incredibly beautiful. Can you walk the listeners through how long you guys have been in business, how you got your start, when did this all come to fruition?
Yes, well, thank you so much. That's so kind. I'm like tomato red right now, but thank you. I'm in good company here. Our business now, we're in our seventh season, but our experience goes way back. Over a decade ago, Grant and I met in film school. So we did study film production, and that's where we got our first taste of weddings. Um, the story goes that he filmed his first one. I was just his best friend at the time and was completely enamored with the work that he did and the idea that weddings could be a career. And so we had some experience with a few in college, ultimately, went our separate ways, started our own careers. He was a DP in New York City for a minute. I was doing content production for another like wedding company where I did more like social media and I would edit some films on the side. But we took a few years, did our own thing, and then ultimately reconnected and pretty much decided all at once that we wanted a life and a business together. And that's what we did. And so that was the end of 2017 about, and so our first full season was 2018, and now it is 2024. So we've just been growing year by year a little bit ever since, and we love this job.
Wow, that's so cool. And to find yourself back to each other and just the amazing business that you've built in just the last 7 years is so inspiring. Um, do you guys feel like you had a plan in place from the very beginning, or like how did you even know that you knew where to take your business, especially into this luxury market?
That's a really, really good question. And honestly, what you guys are doing education wise is something I wish I had when we first started. It's so funny because I was in the industry. Like, I thought I knew it all. I was operating in the mainstream market, helping to grow and market a business that was producing 40 weddings a weekend. So it was just a completely different model to what I knew that we wanted to be, which was a boutique, obviously. Um, we always knew that we wanted to film every wedding together. We wanted to edit every wedding in-house. We wanted to be very involved from a client experience perspective, from initial inquiry through to delivery, and just really have a hand in the whole process. Coming from the experience that I had, I saw a lot slip through the cracks, and I really wanted to do it my way. And my experience in social media gave me the confidence to just use that as a tool to really grow our brand. But what I didn't know, I didn't know. And I think that I don't want to say I like regret that it kept our pace slow and steady, because I am really grateful for all of the experiences we had year over year. I think it developed, our sensibilities in a really natural way, an organic way. And, kind of molded us the way that I'm thankful that all of that experience did. But gosh, I mean, every year is a learning curve and a learning experience. And I don't think I ever really had my sights on luxury per se. Grant and I always talked about how it was most important to us to really just do what it is we wanted to do. And I know it sounds really simple, and it is. And I guess that's why, you know, it works and why we wanted it. But we really just wanted to work for good people in places that inspired us and devote the majority of our time to what we loved doing most in this business, which is the post-production, which I know is sometimes a little bit unique. Editing is not always everyone's favorite thing to do, but it's what we both love. And we wanted to work less weddings, film less weddings, and be able to, concentrate most on the post-production process to just really do our best work and create edits for people that we were proud of and we knew that they would love. And so that almost forced us to raise our prices and raise our rates. And I think with the experience that we had year over year, I realized, my gosh, just how much work this is, and just how much energy I wanted to give every single project and how valuable that energy was. And so that is what opened my eyes to the luxury market, and to find our niche among the clients that we work with now, which I guess I would define it as that. Um, yeah, it's all been a perspective shift over time that's just been an evolution, really.
Yeah, that's so good. And to be, to recognize the goals that you have for your own business and leaning into the tasks that you enjoy. Like you said, editing isn't everyone's forte, but it's something that you guys really love. And do you feel like as you were forced to raise your prices and you did, and then maybe based on the relationships that you had or past client, like referrals and things like that, as you raised your prices, do you feel like it took a certain amount of educating maybe people or planners as to why your rates are maybe the way they are because you do kind of run all that yourself? Everything's in-house.
That's a really good question.
I just
And
ask I just
I
ask
I
because
do, yeah. No, say why.
yeah, no, I just ask because, I feel like Paul and I experienced something like that. So we're a husband and wife team, just like you guys are a husband and wife team, and we want to film every wedding together, and we want our hand in, the meetings are with us. If we do meetings, like all of the admin work is us, like it's all us, all the post-production stuff is us. And when we started to raise our prices to a certain level, we started to notice that we were getting a little bit of pushback from clients or planners, and we were getting pinned up a lot with a team that ran a very different business than we ran. But that wasn't, I don't think that the understanding was there that like that type of business model, just like how you were working in the mainstream market and you were saying like that's just a different business model, that they were running a different business model. And in turn, they had their A team, B team, C team, D team that would go out on a Saturday, Sunday. And that's so different when you look at um, the high touch experience that like you provide. And so that's why I kind of asked, because we had to kind of do some educating on our own behalf for people who would ask like, well, why are your prices double than this price than this, you know, wedding production company?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'd be curious as to almost like which bracket you experienced having to do that education in. I'm from our experience, yeah, Taylor's a numbers girl. I know this. Like year over year has been, a little bit over a 20% increase in rates, looking back at our numbers and just seeing how that all kind of shook out. Um, I haven't had to defend our rates. And I think maybe people are just too polite to be like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Um, but I've always tried to put out a brand and put out work that I felt we could stand behind those rates with. I don't think looking back that we ever raised them prematurely. I could always say, okay, well, someone booked me for this, so now that's my starting rate. And it made sense to kind of grow in baby steps from that point. And, maybe you took less out of the collection, or maybe you kept it the same, but you raised the rate just a little bit, to kind of play with it and see, what stuck and what works and what people felt like they were still, they were paying what felt like the right amount for the dedication and the service that they know they're going to receive. Um, yeah, I'd be curious what people don't
Yeah.
ask, and what they want to ask, and maybe what they haven't, just out of politeness or something. Because I would love to have like more open conversations with planners, especially, about what goes into it, because video really is a whole beast. But I also want to be that person who's,
Yeah.
demanding to make more all the time. Like, we do this because we love to do this. And if
Right.
people start to value it more and want to pay higher rates for it, that's wonderful.
That's
But I'm not
wonderful.
going to stop, Yeah.
Well, I think what you also said too was so key, where you said we made sure that our brand was on par with our rates. And that in turn made for maybe not a lot of questions because it was also dialed in, which probably looking back, we maybe needed a new website. We probably needed some better copywriting to speak to what our process was so that there was a better understanding. So I bet you that's where our shortcomings were in those years. Um, and that's something that is so important for people to recognize. And if you're listening to this too, we can't all just raise our rates just to raise our rates. Like there needs to be more groundwork done, and a different strategy in place to be able to do that. And so if you are listening to this and you're kind of feeling like, oh, I've I've outgrown the market that I'm in and it's not working, there's probably a deeper layer that needs to be assessed to be able to demand those higher prices.
Yeah, I think branding is huge, obviously. And I know there's a lot of, talk and concern about, oh, do I have the portfolio to charge these rates? And I think about that sometimes because I do feel like we were able to scale our market without necessarily having the quote unquote portfolio to back it up at times. And I actually really think leaning on our branding has allowed us to do that. And in retrospect, it's so interesting to think about how, you know, your brand is so much more than just your portfolio. It's so much more than just your logo. It's your ethos, it's your philosophy, it's what you're talking to people about when you meet with them. And really like doing that little bit of education as you connect so that they see what the brand really is made of. And I think people saw what we really valued, which was, you know, meticulous, polished films with good storytelling. And hey, if the wedding's $1 million wedding, great. That's a beautiful bonus. But the quality of the film is not going to necessarily be affected by that. And so I think people were willing to pay maybe outside of what you would expect because the brand was strong.
Yeah. And you
Just a
just had such a
hypothesis. I'm not sure. You know, I think about this all the time.
Yeah. No, totally. Like, why did this work so seamlessly or why didn't it work so seamlessly? And it's so important to, and I'm speaking, I feel like you and I speak a similar language because I also went to film school. So like you kind of go into it with like, yeah, that meticulous storytelling and all of that stuff. I s- there's a lot of chatter, a lot of noise in Facebook groups, and I kind of had come across a thread that I was just kind of peering in on, and it was in relation to luxury events and filmmakers talking about that, and someone in the comments had said, "I would just love to see what all of these luxury filmmakers would do with a wedding that wasn't $1 million." And to me, like I'm such a quiet little mouse in those Facebook groups, but I wanted to be like, we all started at the same starting line. We didn't all just wake up and shoot $1 million weddings from the get-go. Like those budgets started off small. And as long as you have like your own framework in mind, as far as like it's great. Like the story is strong. Your work is speaks for itself. It doesn't, like you said, like we know what we want to produce. And if the wedding happens to be $1 million, then that's just a bonus. But like if everything is set in place to where like you know what you value and you can take that into every single wedding, I feel confident like in what we can produce if the wedding was $30,000 or $300,000 or $3 million. It doesn't really it doesn't matter too much on like, I mean, it does. I mean, obviously your work is going to look more beautiful if you were shooting in a community center versus a huge structure in the middle of, Wyoming or whatever it is. Um, but yeah, it's not that like you couldn't do your job if you weren't shooting luxury events. We could still all do our job just fine.
That's true. And I mean, just kind of like circling back, like I think that so many people, they default to like, well, my work speaks for itself or whatever it is. And I think it's really important to kind of look at it in like two ways. So you can offer like tangible value, which is like the literal service and like product we provide, but the perceived value of the brand, of those things before they've even booked you or before you've even shown up on the wedding day, like that's what oftentimes warrants a higher price point. Like at the end of the day, a $50 leather handbag from Macy's is the exact same tangible value. It's providing the same service or product and value in that way as, a $2,000 luxury handbag, but it's the perceived value that really will drive that connection to the brand and that feeling of desire for it. And that's what our job is as business owners, and that's something that we get to do over the course of our careers. Is the first few years is learning the craft and learning how to interact on a wedding day, execute a wedding day. Like live events are hard, so that has a learning curve of its own. And then you naturally, like around that 5-year mark, I feel like for so many is when you kind of shift to focusing more on this building this perceived value, and that's the brand. So Deanna, I would kind of love to hear your perspective on, so you have this background in social media. I feel like social media is a huge chunk of the brand or a piece of the brand puzzle. Like, and I've actually noticed that you approach it in a very strategic way. And I would kind of like to hear about that. I feel like I remember I was in the DMs with you a while ago, maybe last year. You did that wedding with like the hot air balloons, and you're like, "Oh, we're about to do a rollout of this wedding," and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" So, can you talk a little bit about your philosophy when it comes to that?
To social and your brand and your portfolio and all of
All
that.
the
Yeah.
things.
And perceived value, all of the things. Well, when you were talking about perceived value and how we all work on that at our business, Kelly and I were just nodding so hard it looked like we were at the same
Oh
concert.
my gosh, yes.
We're like,
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
say more, say more. Yeah, and that's where, it does make sense that everyone pays attention to their portfolio and works really hard to hone it and curate it, and that can stand as a part of their branding. I've always been really thoughtful along with Grant regarding our portfolio and what we show and how we show it and where we show it. And have experimented throughout the years with different samples and how we share full films, if we share full films, and have tried it all. From what I feel like, the way I look at social media now is really, really just like a window into the very surface level of what we do. And I wish it could go deeper sometimes, but I know that it's really just almost a hook to get people to come onto our website or want to reach out and talk to us. So that's the place where I'm most picky about what I share and how I share it, and making sure to give attention to our values, but also just the eye candy to showcase, the level that our portfolio is at, and being able to show support to people that we align with and that we want to stay connected to. It is a whole strategy, and I just try and do it authentically. And gosh, I wish there's more that I could say. I'm sure that there is and that you guys will inspire it, but I really enjoy social media. I think it's such a gift to us as creators, and especially in this industry, and to brides who are looking for inspiration. You got to be careful with it, but it really is such a powerful tool.
Yeah, it's so true. And I love how you said that you're the most picky with what you put out on social media because it that is such a missed opportunity that so many photographers and filmmakers don't realize that it truly is the window into maybe the first time they've ever experienced your brand. And it's not just something to like willy-nilly go at it with no strategy and just feel like, oh, I need to post this or I have to do this or I have to show up in this way. Like it truly is like the first date for any potential
Hmm.
business, like a planner landing on that, a client landing on that. And the way that you go about it with such strategy is so wise because it's it's not utilized enough or well thought out enough, I think. Taylor, would you agree?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that especially with this whole, reels thing,
Yeah.
and people hopping on trends or feeling the pressure to hop on trends, and then oh my gosh, I've even been seeing people in stories like having conversations about the algorithm and how that's changing and how their reach is like so diminished lately. And honestly, like to that, I
Hmm.
say like, who cares a little bit? Like it's
Yeah, the
fine.
only constant is change. The algorithm is always going to change. The way we interact with these apps is always going to change. But what shouldn't change is the level of content that you put out and
Yes.
the care that you take to share it. Um,
I feel like
it
doing things out of fear
it
or
goes
feeling like you
without
have
saying
to.
that, like, yeah,
Yeah.
you shouldn't feel like this pressure to share if you truly don't feel like you don't have anything to share. Sometimes just engaging is enough, and just keeping connected with people is enough. Um, Archiving is a powerful tool too.
Oh,
Yes, it
so
is.
so
It
good.
doesn't hurt to experiment with things, to do collaborations and then say, okay, maybe this isn't, serving me anymore. I'm going to remove myself from it or archive it, or just always be evaluating. I'm always evaluating, reevaluating my, Instagram, our website, the copy, even our email templates and, the things that we say and the way we talk to people and how we say them, I'm always just doing like a little check-in and saying, does this still resonate with me? Does this still resonate with future me who's going to be filming this wedding in a year and, is thinking about how this person wants to be treated and wants to act accordingly to that,
Yeah. Well, we're all transforming and growing and shifting, and even our
Yeah.
ideal clients, you probably don't have the same ideal client today as you did 3 years ago. And so I actually think that it does a really great job at serving our clients and our creative partners best too, if we're constantly evaluating and shifting and growing in those ways too. Otherwise, like if you just stay like the same, but you've on the back end changed so much, like there's a disconnect, and then that's not serving anybody well.
Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
true.
Yeah.
And going kind of back to all this little chat that we had about social media, if you are listening, you haven't taken our Instagram challenge that Taylor and I have put together. We've done a 5-day free Instagram challenge on how to just show up on Instagram and transform your presence on Instagram. It's a pretty cool challenge. You can head over to Taylor. Do you have the link, or we'll drop the link maybe in the show notes?
It'll definitely be in the show notes. I just typed it in just to make sure we had the URL correct, but it's thelevelupco.com/Instagram challenge. Super easy peasy, easy to remember. It's great. It's like a guided 5-day, like every day for 5 days, you get an email from us with instructions on like what to do and examples. And we've guided hundreds of wedding filmmakers and photographers through this transformation, and we love seeing people like hit reply to the emails and showing us what they've worked on that day. And it really, I think it's such a something that you could even do like every year, honestly, if you wanted to just have a little refresher. Every year we're creating new content, we're filming or shooting better weddings, and ones where maybe 2 years ago was like our shining star, our pride and joy on our Instagram feed, maybe now it's not serving us, and it kind of like walks through looking at it through the lens of today.
Yeah, it's so
Love
good.
that. That sounds like a lot of fun, you guys. And anybody can do it at any time, right?
Yes. Yeah. They just pop in, go to that URL. We'll have it in the show notes as well. And it's really cool to see their before and afters. I love when people send us like, so if you're going to do it, take a screenshot of your feed beforehand and like everything. We talk about your bio and all these things, and then take a shot of it afterwards. And it's like cleaning out your closet. It's like so satisfying for Taylor and I to see the huge shifts and differences in how people have just really elevated their presence on Instagram, because it's so important.
Like an instant glow up, a 5-day glow up.
5-day glow
Amazing.
up.
We love it. This is so good. I love how this is like all coming to life, and that we weren't even planning to talk about social media, but now we are. But with your background in social media, it really makes sense. So now that you guys are in your 7th season, I believe you said, what does your business look like now? How many weddings are you shooting? I don't even think you have mentioned, or we haven't asked you yet, on where you're based. Where are you guys filming a majority of your weddings? Guide the listeners through all of those things.
Okay, so just a little bit of where are we today? Spring, summer 2024. So our season this year, we have 12 weddings, and that's like our sweet spot. It's kind of right where we want to be. And the majority of them are East Coast. We have a couple West Coast this year, which we're excited about. But our brand has kind of always revolved around being like East Coast and destination. So that kind of checks out. We're based right in the Mid-Atlantic in Washington, D.C. We live and work on Capitol Hill, and it is such a fantastic market to be in, but something that we've been passionate about from, the inception of our business was getting to travel and kind of design our life, being entrepreneurs, being business owners. This is a gift that we have that we can build in flexibility and freedom. And so from the very beginning, we've always put in effort to be able to film weddings up in the Northeast in the summer and more in our market in the like shoulder season, spring and fall. And then as, we've been around and our connections have grown and our reputation, I guess, has, led us to connect with more people. We've gotten opportunities to come over to the West Coast or to go down to Florida. And so it's, it's random, which is exciting sometimes, but you get to make those choices and say those yeses. And so our yeses this year are taking us to, Nantucket, Newport, the Cape, here in DC, over to Laguna Beach. Yeah, a little bit of all that. So they're all places we're, inspired by. We love the coast. We love to be by the water. We love tented weddings. And all of our clients, honestly, I can say, like, I am so jazzed for them. They are just awesome couples with great teams. And that's something we always put a lot of effort into too, is collaboration and the workflow onto that process. Before I think maybe the market we were in was ready for it, I was reaching out to photographers when we were booked at $25,000 in our first year. And I just said 25,000. I meant 2,500, you guys. Saying,
I was gonna
hey,
say,
let's chat.
I was gonna say, like, what a baller.
Right? She had confidence from day one. No, she had no idea. She could be charging more than that. She thought that was high end. Anyway, I was reaching out and saying, let's talk about the timeline, and so those are things that I'm still doing today and really pushing for those conversations to happen and we love to go out of our way and, come into an area the day early so that we can scout with the photography team. We can have dinner with them. If, we haven't worked together before, we can just, establish that rapport and just be in person and talk about our ideas. And really my goal is to just pre-produce a wedding as much as everyone else is willing to do that. I really, 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 the more I do this, care about client experience and them feeling like it was so natural, but behind the scenes that it really has been choreographed to be so perfect. Where are we going to move the furniture to in the morning? Like what, all of those like little intricacies that remove those conversations on the day that could potentially be overheard. Like, I don't want anyone to question me questioning myself, or saying, is this something you want to do? Or is this somewhere we should take them? Like, no. All of these things should be decided in advance. Like, if possible, I just think it really transforms, like we were saying before, that perceived value of, oh my gosh, these are consummate professionals who are just, they have the best attitude. They know exactly what they're doing. I feel so comfortable. And then, everyone that you're working with like feels that same way about you too. Like they just trust that they can lean on you if they need to. I really want to always be that person for photographers. I think it's just so important to have a team mentality. And I am feeling really grateful that we get to work with people who, have that. So I'm just very excited.
Oh, you can hear it in your voice, like, and if you're watching on YouTube as well, like just the smile and the joy that you have talking about this. And it's one of those things, and you probably have been there too. And I know that I've been there too. And maybe those who are listening are in that place where you just are feeling stuck in your business or spinning out of control in your business. And it's so nice to speak and in this all-star series that we're in right now, I feel like a common thread that we are hearing is this undertone of confidence and control in their business, which is something that I couldn't say when I was serving a budget client that we had. We were just booking to book. We were booking for numbers on our calendar. We were booking to meet a certain quota per month to cover our bills. There was no strategy behind it. There was there was less fulfillment. Yes, we still loved what we were doing, but it wasn't like it is now, and the way that you speak about your business is so, like, it's so evident how you have laid down this beautiful foundation to now your yeses. And you said, I'm so excited about these clients. We're working with all great clients, all great teams. And I think that's truly what all of us want as creatives at our core. And I think that's like such the beautiful thing too with the luxury market is the amount of collaboration that everyone is on the same page and they want to work towards that goal of a really great client experience, of a really great collaborative team experience. So I'm sure that you've like had so much experience with that too, and seeing the clear differences between that budget market versus the luxury market.
Yeah, there was a year it I can't remember which one it was, but I just remember at the end of it feeling like, my gosh, if anything is burning me out right now, it's unfortunately the working relationships. It sometimes just felt like I was really spinning my wheels and like putting effort in, and it was almost like just it was wearing me down because I felt like disappointed at the end of the day. It's hard to put it into words, and I don't necessarily think that you can say, okay, well, it's a mainstream thing versus a luxury thing. I really do think there's been a lot of amazing education that has made people more open to being collaborative,
Yeah.
and less just having those blinders on and not thinking about client experience quite so much. Obviously, everyone in the luxury wedding market, it's a very small world. We're all in communication, we're all learning from each other. And so I think that we rise to the occasion more quickly, maybe sometimes, because we're just open to the education and the growth that it takes to like be here and stay here. But I am hopeful for all levels of the market, and that anybody at any point in their career can be that person who
Yeah.
can raise the tide on any given wedding day. They can reach out when they get booked if they're a videographer and say, hey, who's your photographer? And then reach out to them and say, hey, I'm really excited about this location. Like, let's chat when the date gets closer and talk over the timeline. Like, let's, have that relationship that it takes to give a really great energy on the day and just give a great client experience. That can be done whether you're getting paid $500 or $50,000.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope everyone's inspired to just like really do their best wherever they're at, because if you're going to give it your all, you're going to rise every single year.
Yeah. I think it's I feel like I'm gonna butcher this, but there's like a saying where it's like those who go the extra mile, something, something, something. But like it's kind of true. Like most people are not willing to like put in the effort or go that extra mile. And those who do, like there's so few of them who have done that. The rewards that you reap from doing all that extra work, putting in that pre-production, heavy lifting, or even just like coming at it from that service mentality, like because most people don't do that, that automatically sets you apart from the pack, which is what we want. So many people are focused on trying to blend in or be be on par with everybody else, when really you should be focused on trying to stand out in the best way possible. And I think that's
Yeah.
an underrated way.
Yeah, you just really sparked something for me, which was, that it is okay to stand out. And I can count on many fingers how many times, maybe we were the highest paid vendor on the documentary team, that the client really put a lot of value in us. And maybe we could have looked at this and said, oh, this wedding is below us. We could be, if we're getting paid $10,000, we could be filming a wedding that looks like this. I would never think like that in a million years. I would think, my gosh, this client who's having this wedding, it's the most beautiful wedding that they can imagine for themselves, is valuing me this much that they are paying whatever percentage higher than potentially they should, allocating their budget wise. That just makes me feel even more important to them and makes me want to work even harder for them. I think it's really okay to be the exception sometimes to the rule, because you can really shine and you can really inspire people and you can make your clients so happy. So I think there's so much beauty in that. Like, I'm very much okay if that's the position that we're in. And I think everyone should be able to see the beauty in that too.
Yeah, so well said. Deanna, I don't know if you're open to talking about pricing, but what does your pricing look like sitting here in 2024?
Yeah, so I'm happy to share. Right now, this year, our pricing is averaging for couples, and this isn't, considering that everyone is generally a multi-day client, is sitting in the mid $20,000 range.
Mhm.
And so I mean, I can acknowledge it's a really lovely place to be, working with Grant. We're thrilled and we feel really valued at that price point. I'm not sure what else I can really say so much. Besides that, the main change probably that we've made since I've spoken with you last was that we've really revamped how we do our post wedding workflow, and a lot of our deliverables are now additional add-ons post wedding, and that has really helped us make more money year over year, which has helped and felt really nice. You feel like people can kind of put that chunk of money of their budget, toward flowers or toward a second reception dress or whatever have you design, and that they can go ahead and purchase those, full length films of events, Instagram edits, et cetera, later down the line. And we're happy to have them do that. And so that's been kind of a fun thing to develop, is how to have a really high touch kind of post-wedding workflow that the clients are thrilled to be a part of, and purchase more deliverables.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
so interesting. I would love to hear more about that, but I think we're going to be coming up on close to an hour, so I don't want to keep you too much out of respect for your time. But speaking of post-production workflow and things that you excel at, you have an offering for filmmakers in regards to color grading. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. What a segue. 10 out of 10 segue. So yes, we, as I mentioned earlier, love our post-production process. We both love to edit, and we both focus on different aspects of the editing process. And so for Grant, actually, that is a big heavy hand in color grading. He's really passionate about it. He's been coloring our films in DaVinci Resolve since around 2019. We started tinkering in it. So, it's been about 5 years now. And over the past couple of years, he has developed this one-on-one private mentorship that we call the Color Mastery Series. It's essentially a series of one-on-one virtual sessions where, depending on what anyone's experience in DaVinci Resolve is, it kind of meets you where you're at and teaches you the program, teaches you in-depth color grading, really the process and how to do it, and how to do it correctly. And he's so much more eloquent about it than me, because honestly, I don't know how. It's all him. So if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, but I listen over some of his mentorship sometimes, and it's just the cutest thing. He's so patient, and he's just wonderful with everybody, and he's been getting some really great feedback on it. So if learning to color grade in DaVinci Resolve is something that you're interested in, feel free to reach out to us. There's some more information on our website about it on the education tab. You can read a little bit about what each session goes into. So I won't get too much more in depth here, but it's certainly a skill set that once Grant really started to hone it, I really watched our work transform, and people started noticing, and we started getting, inquiries that just said, I love the way your films look. And as much as that hurt my soul, because I'm like, it's not about how they look, it's about how they feel. I obviously love to hear that. And I'm so proud with how, far he's come in the program and how much he's learned. And it's been cool to watch him work with people. So yeah, if you want to work with us in that capacity, we would love to hear from you. And thank you guys for giving me the platform to share about it with your audience. I appreciate that.
Well, that's so fun. And I know that a lot of our listeners are filmmakers. And so if you're wanting to level up, pun intended, your color grading game in 2024 and, just become, 1% better in that area, Deanna and Grant are obviously the people to go to for that. And I love that your film business is so high touch, but so is your this educational offering that you have. Sounds like it's a very high touch, and you're very generous with your time. And so this is an opportunity that I think so many should take you up on. But this is a fantastic conversation. Fun fact, Deanna and I are actually rooming together at Engage here in a few weeks. So I'm so excited to have more time to chat with you. But as this episode comes to a close, can you share where listeners can find you online so they can follow along?
Thank you so much for that wrap up, Taylor. I am pumped to be roomies. We're gonna have such a fun time. No one's gonna know what hit him. We're both like these 5 foot just energy powerhouses that they're gonna be like, whoa. No, it'll be so fun. Okay, wrapping it up. You guys can find us at Harrison Films on Instagram. Nothing fancy in there, just Harrison Films. Our website is Harrison-Films. We are on TikTok, though I haven't posted in quite a while, so maybe don't come there. And yeah, I think that about does it. So thank you guys so much for having me. It's been great to catch up and talk, and I just love what you're doing here. I think it's such a warm, cozy, friendly, uplifting corner of the industry, and I just wish you the best with everything you have going on this season and through the rest of the year. And Taylor, I will see you in June.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.